Oh boy. You know what? A now renting sign is so rare. It is crazy trying to find a place to live, whether you're purchasing or renting or, I mean, trying to do either. It is crazy right now.
Which is why the EB government is pushing through a ton of new housing legislation. I've lost track how many bills. And there's so much reaction from buyers and sellers and realtors like Sarah Daniels. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
What do you think about this speculation tax change?
You know, here's the thing is all of this is allegedly being done to free up real estate to be rented out to people. It is not the general public's job to create rental housing, in my personal opinion. We have had over a decade of this leading up where we have obviously had problems with housing. This is not new. So this is the responsibility, in my opinion, of the federal government, the provincial government, as well as all the municipalities. We used to have things like co-op housing, all that kind of stuff. We don't see that anymore. So now in kind of a panic, we've got legislation pushing through saying, okay, well, if you own more than one property and you're not living in that other property full time, you need to now rent that out. Now, there's lots of people that may have a second home, say in Kamloops or Kelowna, on Vancouver Island, Parksville, Qualcomm, that they've had in the family for 30, 40, 50 years. And all of a sudden they are now going to be subject to this tax. Now, the interesting thing is they probably contribute just as much to the base of the economy in those places that they only inhabit for a couple of months of a year as anybody else might do, right? So they're up there during the summer, they're spending money at the restaurants, they're renting snowboards or ski boards or whatever they're doing, but they're also not putting too much pressure on the infrastructure as far as schools and other issues are concerned. So they are contributing. The thing is, we are just lacking the resources, or at least the backbone, in my personal opinion, of government to say, you know what, we need to actually step up to that. I think a lot of politicians don't want to get voted out because this is going to be a case of we're going to have to spend tax dollars, we're going to have to get our crap together, and we're going to have to spend the money. We're going to have to spend the money to make rental housing a thing.
Let's dial back to the expansion of the speculation tax, because Linda and I talk about this quite often, and I agree with you. You either do it everywhere or you do it nowhere. This cherry picking part is...
Well, Whistler. I mean, Whistler, where nobody can afford to live, Whistler is somehow left out of this because
I don't get
a lot of wealthy Americans own property up there.
Why do we care about wealthy Americans? To heck with wealthy Americans.
Well, but this is the thing, is it's completely hypocritical, and yet it is a thing.
And they don't have a vote. Wealthy Americans don't get to vote.
They don't
get to vote.
They don't get to vote, but it's literally, for some reason, this is, we can't let Whistler pay. But,
or the Gulf Islands.
Or the Gulf Islands.
Yeah.
But again, this is the thing, is that there are people that have got family homes that, and I'm sure we all know people that have had cottages in the family for 30, 40, 50 years on one of the Gulf Islands that they regularly use. And now that all of a sudden they're supposed to be renting their properties out to somebody who may, there might not be any renters in those locations. These might be cottages that are not winterized, right? So they, maybe it's a non-dug well, or rather a dug well and not a drilled well. So it's a seasonal well. All these kind of things. And now we're supposed to be renting them out? I mean, again, this is, you're asking people to do the job of what we as a nation are supposed to do, which is to make sure that we are also creating housing opportunities for everybody, not shoving it on the general public, the taxpayer, in that sense.
But governments, as long as I've been living in BC, have been leaving it up to individuals to create rental housing. You just go ahead and buy a condo and then rent it out to somebody instead of government building affordable housing.
But this is going to be the really interesting thing. We've got the Broadway corridor under process right now. Along the Broadway corridor, we see a lot of low-rise housing, a lot of stuff that is above commercial or retail stores, which are relatively inexpensive for people that have been there for a long time. All of that, as zoning changes, is going to go. And what are we going to see? We're going to see high rises. Do you think the people that were living in those places are going to be able to afford what's built there? No. But in the interim, forget about what's being built there. Where are they supposed to go in the interim?
Right.
We have no plan for this. We're so excited about a sexy downtown core with our glass high rises that we're not really making we're not really thinking about what we can do. So for instance, where I live in South Surrey, White Rock, there's a lot of older buildings that were built in the 70s and 80s, which are condos and they're privately owned. And we all know that they're going to be the way of the dodo in about 10, 15 years. But I mean, in the interim, maybe governments could look into making an offer to the building owners and saying, you know, like, we're going to buy you out, creating this already pre-built in nice, like, community areas, rental housing. There's things that we can do that we're not doing.
Yeah, something's got to give in that regard. And one of the shifts is saying, okay, well, we'll take your short-term rental.
Yep.
And we'll turn it into.
I'm good with that.
Right?
And short-term rentals, I mean, for anybody that lives in a downtown building that has short-term rentals, I mean, there is nothing more annoying than finding out your next-door neighbor is now Airbnb-ing. You've got people coming and going all the time. What ends up happening is you see hallways getting kind of decimated. The elevator is a mess. There's
floods in the bathtub.
Floods in the bath because you've got people that don't have a vested interest in that building.
They don't live there.
They don't live there. Yeah. And I mean, you know, this is the thing is this is stuff that should have been taken care of 12, 15 years ago when it started. A lot of buildings have now got bylaws saying, you know, the shortest term that you can rent out is for 6 months. And that's fine. But all across the country, there are buildings in Toronto that are primarily Airbnb. And the actual owners that live in those buildings can't sell them because nobody in their right mind wants to move into a fully Airbnb building. And now investors aren't buying them because the interest rates are high.
Exactly. So we got the double whammy war with the feds potentially and the province cracking down on the short-term rentals. I feel sorry for people who were playing by the rules, got another property to help pay their own mortgage and what have you. Okay, suddenly you're in a jackpot. I do not feel sorry for the commercial operators, and I know there are many in Vancouver in particular
it's a business.
who are operating 10, 20, 30 of these places
they've got cleaning
illegally.
crews, they got cleaning crews, they got the whole 9 yards. And again, this is not, I'm sure that when Airbnb set up their entire business model, this was not what they were planning to have happen. But at the same time, I think that, you know, for the betterment of most municipalities, Airbnb has got to go.
Yeah.
It's got to go.
Yeah. Or be limited to because the hotel issue is real, right?
The hotel issue is real, but if it's your primary residence and then you're renting it out, fine.
Right.
For a certain amount of time during the year, fine. But everybody else, but again, like this goes right back to the fact that it's not, you know, they're relying on people to buy secondary properties to rent out, and
not everybody wants to be a landlord.
Not everybody
like
wants to be a landlord. Not everybody can afford to do that. We've got interest rates spiking.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. The expectation of a lot of mortgages in the coming year are going to come due and be.
And then those rental properties get sold. And then maybe it goes to a purchaser who wants to move in. And then that renter who's been there for 6, 7, 10 years has to move. And their rent, which, you know, honestly, you could rent where I live, South Surrey, White Rock, a couple of years ago, you could rent a very nice one-bedroom condo for $1,500. That same condo now is over $2,500. It's
crazy,
right? So, and the landlord,
bedroom.
And the thing is, I get it. The landlords can get that money.
Yeah.
But there are also going to be landlords that have got that money before. You're going to end up tapping that out, and there's going to be pushback. You can only push but you should not be renting a basement suite one bedroom in South Surrey, not near any sort of major transportation, for $1,800 a month.
No, it's crazy.
That is not acceptable.
No.
That is
totally
not acceptable.
Agree. And to your point, when you talk about the interest rates, and it looks like we've stopped and maybe they'll start to trail back down.
So many people.
But there are people who are so underwater. I've seen people who said when they renewed their mortgage, it went up 800%. I mean, people don't get an 800% raise.
We have a different system than the States. So in the States, you lock in for your 30-year mortgage, and it's at 4% or 3%, and that's locked in. In Canada, we do it differently. There are in some cases, and I don't even think they exist anymore, that you could have a 7-year term, but that is probably only a specialty lender at this point. Yeah. But for the most part, it is a 5-year term, and that's it. In fact, a lot of mortgage brokers right now are saying, actually, you know what? The variable might be the way to go because we expect the rates to stabilize and come down. Right.
So now the risk of the variable from 2 years ago, which is to so many people.
If you're dealing with a bank directly, like a mortgage specialist from a bank, and they say, we got to lock you in for 4 or 5 years, don't do it.
Yeah, I just had to renew my mortgage within the last year, and I was like,
and they try and push you into sometimes.
It was like my mortgage broker said go with 3 years because she thought the rates would come down, and I'm a risk. I don't like risk.
Right.
So I locked in for 4 at 3 and 3.5% or whatever, and then it climbed up to 6. So that's good.
There you go.
I don't know where it's going to be at the end of 4 years.
The rates,
but if it was 6, you probably wouldn't have locked in.
I don't think.
Or would you?
Well, the interest rates went up, like what, 12 or 13 times? So.
I mean, they're never going to be as high as they were back in the 80s, but honestly, I don't think we're ever going to see the rates that we saw 3 years ago, right? So,
it was negative dollars.
If we go back to 2008, 2009, where you were in the high 3s, low 4s,
that makes sense.
I think that's respectable and makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so predictions, I guess?
Yeah. What if you're a buyer and a seller? Quick offer, a bit of advice.
If you're a buyer right now, honestly, if you're a buyer right now and you are not reliant on interest rates, so if you have like cash set aside and you're able to make some purchases, now is the time. If you're a seller, as long as you're buying and selling in the same market, right? Especially if you're moving up the food chain right now, you're going to get a little bit more push, like a little bit more bang for your money on the higher level properties.
Right.
Okay.
But the thing is, like I said, is if you can buy now, I mean, if the interest rates start to come down, we're going to see a frenzy in the market as we always do again. If you can buy that 1-bedroom property right now for $500,000 and pay a little bit higher interest rate, that's going to serve you better than waiting a year, and that same condo is going to be $560,000, let's say. Your payment is probably going to be the same, but you just lost $60,000 worth of equity. Right?
That's
See, it's all about the equity.
Yeah. So you got to call Sarah Daniels.
Based on what's happening right now, what's your prediction? I know that's a mug's game. A buyer's or a seller's market for 2024?
I think it's going to be a balanced market.
Oh,
I think it's going to be a balanced market.
That's what we want to hear.
But again, it
that's
really
a happy
depends.
ending already.
But hold on, I will say we always have people getting freaked out. I'm not going to sell because I'm not going to get my price. And as soon as if we don't have the inventory, it's always a seller's market.
Yeah.
And frankly, we really don't have enough inventory.
Unless we see all those short-term rentals going
back in there. Oh, Sarah
That'll
Daniels,
change things. Yeah, for
always a pleasure to have you in studio, my friend.
me.
She is our go-to and available. What's your website?
Good question. sarahdaniels.ca.
Oh, that's nice of you.
Sarah with an H. There we go.
Sarah with an H. sarahdaniels.ca.
Sarah.
Hey, our happy endings delivered tonight from a Canadian treasure in Christine Sinclair, being honored to global icon Dolly Parton being her fabulous self at 77.
She looks amazing.
Oh
and up next, what really happens when you die?
What does?
Nothing. It's totally over.
Now I'm
maybe
freaking
something
out.
beautiful happens. Maybe something terrifying happens. The director of a new Canadian-made documentary called After Death joins us next.
And before we go to break, our viewing party time. Marilyn in Vancouver, thank you for sending in this beautiful photo.
We have Naz in Richmond. Hello, Naz.
There's Naz and Rob and Tanya on Salt Spring Island. Hello there.
Also, Ruth, Rolf, and Finn in Ladner. Hello to you.
Hi, everybody. And one of you is going to win our $150 gift card for White Spot tonight at the end of the show. Send us your photos. You want to get in on the fun viewing party at checkmedia.ca. We're back in a moment.